Hi, everybody. Very excited to be here today, and it's on behalf of Adjust. It's a pleasure to take part in the first edition of the Growth event. I'm very excited today because we're going to cover about customer engagement and the challenges and successes of our panelists. And I have the pleasure to take part of the panel with three participants from different backgrounds. Greg from What 3 Words, Aykut from Product Madness, and Hannah from Infobip. Guys, if you would like to tell a word about you, please feel free.
Hello everyone, my name's Hannah Scott. I'm the Group Product Marketing Manager at Infobip. I'm responsible for digital channels at Infobip. For those of you who don't know what Infobip does, we're a global cloud communications platform. So we're offering up CPaaS channels and also some SaaS solutions as well. So thank you for having me here today.
Hey everyone, I am Aykut from Product Madness. I'm working as new channels lead at Product Madness. What I do basically, I am managing TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, and it can be interesting, but Tinder ads for our social casino game portfolio. I think that's all there.
I'm Greg, head of growth at What 3 Words. Hopefully most of you, or some of you, are aware of What 3 Words. If you're not, we've split the world into 57 trillion 3 meter by 3 meter squares, and given each of those squares a unique address made of 3 random words, like rock, paper, scissors, meaning that anyone can find any location in the world very simply, or anyone can communicate any location to someone else very, very simply using just 3 unique words. I'm head of growth, and for us, that mainly means user growth, so not necessarily commercial. So here today, definitely to talk about our interactions with our users, not customers, we call them users, but yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for this introduction, guys. Let's talk about the first topic. It would be great to have an overview of what you think as what is customer engagement for you, maybe on a personal level. Aykut, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I guess the customer engagement is changing for every platform you see any kind of ads, because, for example, when you use Facebook or Instagram, the audience is totally different than TikTok, so that's why you need to produce some kind of ads which will be attractive for those type of users. Personally, when I see any kind of really TikTok trend video ads, so I am just like being engaged with this ad and the actual product. So I can say this is really important for me, that like they put some materials which is really suitable for the audience they show. Yeah.
I think for me, normally when I'm being kind of messaged to, it's from a business that's trying to sell me something, or trying to get me warm towards selling something, push me down some kind of funnel, ultimately purchase or get interested in some kind of new product. What 3 Words is pretty different because we don't, like I said, we don't treat them as customers. We treat our users as users. We don't sell anything to them. We don't even monetize them through advertising or anything like that. We're just interested in getting people to open the app and use us at the most relevant time. So for us, customer engagement or user engagement is more around just politely nudging or reminding people that we're a service that's there, and to remember to use us in the situations where What 3 Words might help them in their day-to-day life. For me, like when people are engaging with me on a customer engagement level, I normally think of that as like a salesy thing, but for us, we have to be super careful when we engage with our users, not to piss them off too much, because they're helping us.
Yeah, for me, I guess customer engagement is changing. So I think it was very kind of marketing focused, very sales focused before. But, we've got to think of customer engagement across the whole entire customer journey and every touch point they have with the business. And that's what, with digital channels, you can definitely do in terms of having those kind of touch points with customers throughout every kind of, interaction they have with you. Throughout the customer journey. So that's kind of how I see the customer engagement now.
Great. Thank you, guys. So you've been having great success with your growth in the last 12 to 18 months. To get that customer engagement, of course, it involves being able to get the users via a multitude of different channels. And I know you have some great successes based on that, which I'm really excited for the audience to hear about. So yeah, I'd be curious to hear about like what is multi-channel marketing for you and how on a daily basis this translates. Greg, if you want to start.
Sure. I think for us, multi-channel is super important because what through words, for it to succeed, we need many millions of people to be using us on a fairly regular basis. And those people are not all going to be the same as each other. So take, for example, someone in a field in Glastonbury who's trying to find their friend and meet up at the tent. That person's going to have very different media consumption habits to the 75-year-old who is concerned about an ambulance finding them quickly in an emergency at home. So but both users are equally as important to us. Well, maybe the 75-year-old's a little bit more important, to be honest, if they're in an emergency. But both users are equally as important, and we need them to remember to use us in those situations. So we'll be using a large array of channels, both owned and paid, to make sure that both those users understand what through words, like implicitly, but also that they're comfortable enough to use us when that situation arises, especially as it could be quite a tense situation, either for the lost person or for the person in the emergency. So we use a wide range of channels. I don't think we need to go into too much of them now, but like I say, owned and paid to make sure that level of understanding is always there.
Yeah. To be honest, for us, it is all about reaching new users, because when you are stick to one platform or a couple of platforms like Facebook and Google, it is getting harder and harder to reach new users. So you just always have same type of audience. And for our social casino games, actually, I can tell that like we had to reach new users. And so that's why we started TikTok, Snapchat, and Tinder, Twitter. So this kind of platforms has different type of users. And when you use this multi-channel strategy, so it is giving us this opportunity and advantage from our competitors that like we can get all new users before than them. So I think that's why it is important for us.
Yeah, for me, I guess, multi-channel, omni-channel, you've got to be looking at all your channels in terms of both online and offline and seeing how they kind of interact with each other. So, just not taking one channel on its own, but actually having a holistic view of how each of those channels work across the customer journey, and how they can really kind of support each other and work together rather than, going against each other, which sometimes, does happen in organisations where you haven't got every kind of touch point in terms of how you're communicating to your customers. So getting that kind of holistic view of where your customers are interacting with you, and then working out what the best kind of channels are to use to talk to your customers. So, there might be, for example, you want to send out notifications. So something like SMS might be a good thing to use. Whereas if you're wanting to have something that's more kind of conversational with your customers, which is definitely the way the market's moving, then you would use more kind of digital channels in terms of WhatsApp, RCS, something like that, where your customers can interact with you more closely.
I mean, everyone's learning this as they go, right? Like it changes all the time.
Yeah.
I know WhatsApp, for example, is something that we're looking into at the moment that's super new for us, and it's bigger in some markets than others.
Yeah.
New tech partners with new, in-app notification software and all that kind of stuff. Like it's adding those extra strings each time when you're already trying to perfect what you've already got going. It's hard, and I don't know if anyone, maybe you know better than I do, who's doing it really well.
I think there are certain brands that are doing it better than others. Probably more kind of e-commerce retailers are definitely kind of taking digital channels on board and really embracing them. But I think one of the key things that you need to keep doing is revisiting that customer journey, because it will be changing, technology will be changing, and you'll need to keep reevaluating where those touch points are and what you can use to put into those areas. So just keep it as a kind of a cyclical thing where you're constantly reevaluating what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd like to bounce back on Aykut as well, because chatting together and what I've seen on the social medias, I think with all the different channels you're managing, you have some really great stories to tell about when it comes to acquisition and engagements later on. If you would like to tell us a word about, like, for instance, the rise through TikTok or the other partnership deals that you've been managing?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I can just talk about our TikTok journey for our social casino games. 2 years ago, when I joined the Product Madness, we didn't have any activity on TikTok, and it was quite new platform for the advertising actually. But as a Product Madness, we are kind of early adopter company, so we always have some budget for testing. I can say that, so that's why we started to doing tests on TikTok, and it just didn't perform well, but we just understood that like it looks promising and we need to change our optimization ways. And after a couple of months, we started to produce some influencer creatives, UGC creatives, and actually we were the only social casino company who uses TikTok ads. Then we started to work with agencies and many UGC creatives, some TikTok trends. After all, actually we reached really high amount of budget per month. And then right now, for example, I can say that we are #1 social casino company in terms of budget and actually the performance on TikTok. So which is good. But I think like everyone needs to think to change their creative way for every platform or every affiliate. For example, this kind of creatives never worked for Facebook or Google in our marketing weeks, but when we specified them for TikTok and Snapchat, actually, both of them have almost same audience, so it worked well. And we are working more and more to produce this type of creatives for those channels. And I can even give another example. For example, this month we will start this Tinder activity, and everyone is just like finding it funny because like no one knows even like there's ads on Tinder, or they swipe left, maybe by mistake they swipe right. But yeah, so we just produce a concept, for example, for Tinder. We have 2 characters in the game, John and Linda, and they are falling in love in that video. And so this specific video actually only can be good for dating app. So that's why we will test this, and maybe we will get this performance from Tinder or not, but we will see. So we always see opportunity and we just change our way and then adapt and look for the success actually. Yeah.
Very interesting. I think if you have the chance, just there's a grandmother video for one of the game of Product Madness. I really recommend to end up on it on any social media. It's quite good fun. I'd like to come back to something, especially for Aykut and you, Greg. When it comes to both of your brands, in the last 18-24 months, you've seen quite a rise and really good successes. Could you share with us what were the key leverages to achieve those results?
Yeah, I think, excuse me. So for us, we got to a certain place with performance marketing. We acquired a lot of users. We got a lot of big PR stories. A lot of people installed the app. But to get to that many millions of users that we need, we realized that we needed to go further. So we wanted to do TV. We've got a lot of great creative people in-house, with big TV background, so that's what we wanted to do. So one of the biggest levers for us, or kind of strokes of luck for us, was during the pandemic, we struck some media for equity deals with ITV and Channel 4 here in the UK. And for those that don't know, a media for equity deal is when a media owner invests in a company, but instead of giving cash, they give media space. So we suddenly had £4 million worth of TV airtime to play with across ITV and Channel 4. And actually at that time, TV airtime was pretty cheap. So that 4 million went a long way. So that got us like mass reach in the UK, and actually abroad as well. People talk, funnily enough, and British people get out there, and other countries we sort of see more usage. But this media for equity model is something that we've replicated in quite a few markets now. We've done 2 more deals in Germany with ProSieben and some other like large media owners in Germany, out of home especially. And we've done a big $10 million deal in India with the Times of India, who are a big multi-channel media owner over there. So it's been a real like fun toolkit to have available to the growth team to play with. And it's been a challenge for the marketing team to get all the different creative assets together and etc. But it's, especially in this time now when investment is quite difficult to come by, we've got quite a lot of credits in the bank to keep us going and stay kind of like keep our brand awareness high in some of these crucial markets for us. So yeah, as a lever, that's been most useful for us over the last couple of years, I'd say.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Aykut, I think share with us maybe about the TikTok rise and the wave that you followed.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I should start with COVID again. So it helped us. So I know that it wasn't good times, but you can imagine that like our users, our players were gamblers, and in the COVID time they couldn't go to casinos. So that's why we started to see a really huge uplift on our DAU and MAU. It helped us. Then they stayed at home and they played. This helped us to just generate more revenue than previous. And secondly, we started TikTok activity and the other channels, the new channels. And right now, new channels are 25% of our marketing budget. So you can imagine that like with this activity, actually, we started to reach all new users before than our competitors. So, and it helped us for the last year and a half. It helped us to just beat them on this competition. Yeah.
Nice. I believe on TikTok, you told me last week you reached out #1 social game in MENA and EMEA. Did I get it right?
Yeah. So right now, in terms of spend and I think performance, when we look at it, and when you guys go to TikTok ad library, it's like Facebook ad library, and it's quite new. You will see that like 7 out of 10 ads actually belong to Product Madness right now. I mean, I am so happy with that, but it just like took really long time, but we did it. Yeah.
Very interesting. Hannah, so we've been learning very good insights about what were the keys for success, but what would you think would be the important piece when it comes to, let's say, if you have an advice to give for someone that wants to reevaluate their customer engagement strategy? Would you like to share some insights as well?
Yeah, definitely. So, so I guess, I kind of mentioned before about, we're moving more to conversational messaging. People are kind of looking more to digital channels, and just to kind of give you a flavour of, what consumers are kind of expecting now. A lot of people are obviously using apps like WhatsApp in their day-to-day lives. I think we've probably all got, a lot of groups on WhatsApp in terms of, school groups, family groups, friends groups. But people want to use those like chat apps when they're communicating with businesses now as well. So I think it's like 75% of people would actually prefer to work with businesses who are on these digital channels and that they can communicate with them. So, that really kind of shows you, how people are starting to change the way they communicate with businesses and what they're kind of expecting from businesses and brands. Just to kind of give you a bit more of a flavour of what we're seeing in Infobip at the moment. So we've recently conducted a market messaging trends report where we've looked at all of the interactions on our platform last year. So we had 153 billion interactions last year. So we've evaluated all of that data and we've had a look at where the trends are going with messaging now. So obviously previously, SMS, huge channel in terms of, what businesses were using it for. But moving on into now what we're seeing in comparison to last year is that WhatsApp has increased in interactions by 80% on our platform. So we're really seeing this kind of big, rise in people using these chat apps. The reason why they're using these chat apps is, as I say, we're moving towards this more conversational messaging. So people want to chat to businesses like they chat to their friends. They don't want to have to, just get this one-way communication through traditional channels. They want to be able to be, chatting with businesses and brands to get those interactions from them. We've had quite a few good sort of customer stories recently in terms of where we've seen some businesses really utilising WhatsApp in their kind of customer journeys and their use cases that they're using the channel for. So just to give you an example, we've been working with Dior this year, and they actually used WhatsApp. So they basically got their Instagram followers to sign up to their WhatsApp channel. and then they basically interacted through a brand ambassador. So this brand ambassador was interacting through WhatsApp with their followers. And it actually really increased the engagement that they saw. We haven't got results just yet, but we've had some really good feedback from Dior on this campaign. It was a really kind of disruptive campaign in terms of, how much engagement they saw from their customers. Another good example was Unilever. So they actually used WhatsApp in another campaign. So what they did, they posted some billboard posters around the city. They put a WhatsApp number on there, and they had like a teaser on these posters. And then consumers basically messaged this number through WhatsApp. And then they had this interaction with the brand in terms of getting tips and tricks around laundry and how to look after your clothing and stuff like that. And they were also getting information about product launches and product updates as well. And they actually saw a 14 times in sales leads in growth. So we've seen some really kind of good things coming through with how people are starting to use WhatsApp as a channel. And I'd say a lot of it's around kind of brand loyalty, brand advocacy, those kind of use cases. But also, we still see a lot happening with customer support as well, in terms of, people are still want to interact with companies, 24/7. So, they're using WhatsApp as a chatbot so that, customers can engage at any time of the day with the brand. So you're kind of getting both promotional and customer support use cases coming through. We're definitely seeing a massive increase in promotional cases at the moment, just because Meta changed their pricing at the beginning of the year to really look towards promotional use cases. But actually, it helps it across the board in terms of all, the customer journey.
Do you guys want to say a word? No.
That was very comprehensive.
Very, very elaborate.
And I need to get across WhatsApp. That sounds amazing.
Anything?
Yeah,
so?
we need to do more of that. I know, like I said, in certain markets, like WhatsApp is like increasingly like the standard.
Yeah.
When we moved into India, for example, we just our push notification open rates are just shockingly bad. All of our customer engagement open rates are pretty bad, but WhatsApp seems to be the one.
Yeah, and I think, as I say, I've been speaking about WhatsApp, and that's really the digital channel that works across the board with the customer journey, sales support and marketing. But, there are other digital channels out there as well. You've got RCS, which is really growing in the UK at the moment. You've got Google and Apple as well, which are really kind of up and coming as well. So, when you're looking at your customer journey, just take all of these channels into consideration. And really kind of, obviously keep those traditional channels that you use in terms of email and SMS, but mix in those digital channels as well to really kind of cover off the whole customer journey.
We've made a lot of developments in this space, for us, and having the right tech stack in place has been basically key. Our push notifications weren't in a great place. Our retargeting wasn't in a great place, and now because we've got the analytics platforms on our side to chop the audiences up into, have they done this within the app? Have they not done this within the app? Have they searched for an address? Have they navigated to an address? Have they saved an address? Yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Building out these decision trees, and we're finally now in a much better place. But the tech stack to help us do that was vital, and it's important to invest in the right pieces of kit, for sure.
Absolutely. Aykut, do you want to add something? Or?
I can just say one thing, that gaming is not using WhatsApp. So I mean, you cannot reach players with WhatsApp. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, even with, I'm not even sure that we tried as a company, but yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe one day. I have a final question, quite an open question. We're 60 days to 2023, and I would be curious to hear about what would be your advices, recommendation, or maybe predictions for the next year to come when it comes to user acquisition, growth, and customer engagement?
Well, I know for us, something that's very core to What 3 Words is localization. and doing it like properly and really committing to it. And that doesn't just mean language, although obviously in our case we're like a language-based app, so it's super really important that we are like very localized, and we take things like quite deep. So we advertise in the 12 different official languages of India, for example. Most big companies will only do 1 or 2, probably 2 or 3 maybe, but we do all 12. We work across like 50 languages plus the app does, so it's important that we're very localized in all our comms, and that's not just in paid, but it's also in owned as well. And I think everything is just becoming increasingly global, and even the comm strategy, you kind of have to think locally and globally at the same time. But for us, yeah, just continuing down that hyper-localized like delivery on both language and also imagery, culture, all of that for us is very core to us, and we'll be continuing that next year.
Are there any market you want to really put a priority on for 2023?
That's a good question. A priority, I mean, India is a priority right now. For us, it's growing rapidly. I told you we've got that big $10 million deal with Times of India that we're spending the money and we're utilizing. But I think Asia in general is very interesting for us. That whole like last mile delivery and rapid delivery is growing very fast over there. So What Few Words has a lot of use cases. And those are markets where traditional addresses don't necessarily work as well as they do in Western markets. So Asia is super interesting for us, but we're also looking very much to consolidate on the efforts that we've put in the UK and Germany and other Western markets, yeah.
Very interesting. Hannah, maybe?
So for us, I've mentioned it before, I'll mention it again, but I think conversational messaging is going to be massive in 2023. So, keep it in your mind all the time, not just conversational messaging, but it's basically conversational everything. So conversational AI, conversational messaging. So just really kind of interacting with customers on their level, having those conversations with them rather than, just kind of sending one-way traffic out to them. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're seeing 2023 really kind of moving towards, and we're already going in that direction, but we'll see a big spike in it next year.
Yeah, I think I agree with Greg about the Asia market. So right now we are working on new games, so which actually localized in Chinese, and so we are just trying to join this Asian market because our core games were only in English and it wasn't like localized. So right now we are working on localization. And the second thing, I think new social platforms, like I guess everyone should be aware of this Be Real app. It is quite new, but it is growing a lot and it's quite exciting for us. Right now they are not letting us to advertise our games, or no one, but I'm pretty sure that like next year they will start to just build their product for the advertising, and then we will start to use. I think this too is the biggest opportunity for us for the next year. Yeah.
And Aykut's obviously touched on it a lot, but TikTok, companies like yours are smashing it on TikTok, but most of the big companies are still not. And like you might think that this was the year of TikTok, but I think next year is when we're really going to start seeing TikTok take huge shares of ad revenue, because their product is getting pretty good now. And if you're not there, then you're really missing out. And I think companies are finally now starting to understand that creative bit that you were talking about. Like you can't treat TikTok the same. You have to test more. You have to refresh more. Their understanding is now there, so I think people are ready to pile their ad pounds and dollars into it.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I think you said you renew the creative every 1 or 2 days?
Yeah, every 2-3 days. I mean, we are just trying to rotate new creatives because TikTok is kind of a video platform, right? It is totally different than Facebook or Snapchat because the users are not consuming that much video. But on TikTok, users are only consuming video. And if you are doing video ads, so in the end, in 2 days, they will already forget about your video and ads, and they will get bored. If you, for example, we tried this TikTok made me buy trend actually. We just changed it. TikTok made me played it. So we just generated this content. But in the end, after 2-3 days later, so we started see a huge drop on the performance and conversion rates because they just got bored. And so right now we are working TikTok team, so they just share trends and real trends because there are many trends and they are just being lost in the system, right? So they are sharing the real trends with us, and then we are just applying those changes to our creative way. And in the end, actually, we are getting really good performance. But yeah, as Maxim told, it is really hard to just like rotate those new creators and produce them. So right now we are working with, I think, 3 different agencies and TikTok team as well. Yeah, and also we have in-house creative team, which is huge. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Guys, do you have any final words you would like to say, or if I don't know if we have time for maybe one question. If anybody, one question, if someone wants to participate.
Go for it.
One is for Greg. How do you make any money? How do you make your money out of what you do?
That's not what this panel's about.
What's that?
Yeah, so we don't, like I said, we don't monetize our users directly. We don't advertise to them. We don't charge them to use the app. We make our money by other companies using our technology to enhance their product. So an example, we've got lots of different verticals. So DHL, for example, would ask their customers, would you like to give us your what through words address? And then when the parcel's being delivered, it's more likely to be delivered on time, not get lost, because a lot of people live in hard to find locations, right? Okay. Or another example might be Boohoo again. So put it on the checkout page, what through words on checkout page, so that like fewer lost parcels, etc. Other verticals like car sat navs. So every Mercedes that gets built, for example, has what through words built into it. We get paid for every car that gets made. Oh, okay. Pretty good deal. Although not this year because they're not making many cars because of microchips. So we make money from businesses paying us to kind of take advantage of our users, I guess.
I'll check mine when I get home. The other one is for Aykut. Aykut, can you, with the Tinder and with the TikTok, can you profile like you can with the Facebook and that sort of stuff? Can you say to TikTok, I want to reach this group, that group?
Yeah. Definitely.
You can do all that stuff.
Yeah, we can
so
do
age range or whatever it is.
Yeah. So okay. We can do detailed marketing. So we can just decide about which age we want to reach, or which gender, or even like about interests and also hobbies. And even you guys maybe know that like when you post a TikTok, actually you can add some kind of hashtags. So even though we can target the people who use that kind of hashtags as well.
Okay. And on WhatsApp, is it just blunderbussed? You just blunderbuss them with WhatsApp because you can't really drill down to the like the phone number and stuff like that, or how does it work?
No, actually, yeah. So this kind of user details they never share with us. Yeah. But if we are using their platform and if they have this data on the back end, actually they use to optimize campaigns, right? So they have this data, but they never share with us. But on the algorithm, they use it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Cool. Last chance. Anybody? All good. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you, panel.